our clique, you know, we went on until the 80s. Of course, I left and went to prison. I was back and forth in prison, so that symbolized our clique from that aspect. Then a couple more soldiers, they went to prison. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, it was bounty hunters or nothing. It was our clique was just our clique within, like I say, the cats that grew up in that little area, they little sections, that's how it became a clique. And we used to play football, sports against each other. You know, baseball, basketball, shit like that.
But eventually they come out with ace line, deuce line, trade line for 111.
That's the millennium, man. That's the millennium shit. That shit didn't exist in our era. We didn't play that shit. Yeah. Only thing I can tell you is this. If you wasn't a real one in the Nickerson Gardens in them 70s and them 80s, you wasn't leaving your porch. You wasn't coming outside. You wasn't hanging out. You had to be active and participating to move around the projects. Meaning, nigga, you can go to 112, 111, 114. You wasn't a real bounty hunter, you wasn't hanging out in the bounty hunter lot, bro. You wasn't from Lot Boy, you wasn't fucking hanging out in front of the gym and the Lot Boys, man. It's simple. You damn sure wasn't going over there getting no money. You had to be a part of that. Simple. If you wasn't a part of that, you wasn't fucking with neither one of them lots.
Now the Lot Boys, they came out with like what, 79, 80, you remember?
Yeah.
There was like three different lots that they kind of dominated?
No. It's one lot in front of the gym. It's a lot in front of the gym in our neighborhood, which connects to 111th Street and Compton Avenue. My homie, rest in peace, both of my homies, rest in peace, TC and Scoop. TC and Scoop ran together, Renzi, TC, Scoop, and the homie Loaf, man. Shout out to all of them. Real ones. They're my homies, I love them to death. All of them ran together. They all grew up in that same section, like I say, in front of the gym, so they all ran together. During the merging of the bounty hunters, it was bounty hunters in our neighborhood and nothing. Now, let's go to show you, I'm glad that you brought this up, A, because like I say, you're a great journalist, bro, and you know how to ask the right questions of things, man. And I'm glad you brought this up because I want to better break it down and explain it. Now, let's go to show you how history went. In our neighborhood, like I say, we had no cliques or no separation because we fell under one protocol, and that protocol was bounty hunters. We fell under the structure of what the big homies taught us and taught the neighborhood. So this is how we was able to protect our neighborhood, protect our elders, you know, the older ones who came outside, man, and sit on their porches. You know, we protected all that shit from any enemies or any ops being able to come in the projects and do drive-bys. All that shit was unheard of in the 70s and 80s. You would never hear a murder or hear an incident take place where a nigga came and literally drove in my projects and drove through our hood and shot up some shit or killed somebody. It was unheard of, bro, because we controlled and policed our neighborhood. We maintained that. I myself personally, me, along with my big homie Gugu, my big homie Philip Thornton, I came up with the concept and the idea of bounty hunter patrol, 1979, when I told you I got my 357 Python. I came up with the concept of bounty hunter patrol, and the reason why I came up with that concept was because the nigga Bone from Great Street, which was a triple OG from over there, first generation, he used to creep over in our neighborhood because he went with one of my homegirls. And so we caught him a couple of times trying to creep. So my whole concept was, I told the big homie, I said, man, we need to set up a situation where we got guys that's out here around the clock watching the hood so that shit like that can't happen. So people can't pull up in the neighborhood 2 or 3 o'clock a.m. in the morning and people in the house sleeping we not aware of. So that's when the bounty hunter patrol was merged in birth. I came up with the concept, came up with the name. I ran it down to Philip Thornton. I ran it down to my homeboy Gugu. They green lighted it with me. We passed it along to the hood. We had a meeting with some more of the homies, and that's what it became. So we start policing and patrolling our own neighborhood for a few decades in that aspect. And that's what protected us in our alliance. And then not only that, our protection as well from the outside was our major trees. We had a lot of trees in the projects back then, palm trees and big trees. And then we had the walls. So all these things were our weapons of destruction. I mean, not destruction, but our weapons of protection as far as the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Going back to TC and Scoop and Loaf and Big Hook, they was young kids, you know, youngsters at the time. You know, we talking about 16, 15, 16, 17, but they were hustlers. They hustled their ass off. So TC was born to hustle, basically, because TC was a cold hustler. So TC hustled, and TC literally came up with the actual idea, the concept, and the name. And TC, Scoop, they what you call what was the name for it back then? We used to use. They call it striking up now.
Hitting up.
Yeah, they used to hit up, and so they used to write and hit up, and so it was once seen on the walls a couple of times. LB, Lot Boys. So once it was seen on the walls, some bounty hunters seen it. So now, in order for Lot Boys to become Lot Boys, they had to plant that seed, and planting that seed meaning they had to go through something. So going through something was, okay, shit. Now it's the bounty hunter and Lot Boy feud, to a sense, for structure. Not so much as power, but structure, because it's a new thing merging in our neighborhood that niggas wasn't awareness of, or really acceptance of, because the first generation had already planted these seeds. But nevertheless, it wasn't something where the homies went into turmoil or a war where we was killing each other. None of that never took place, none of that. A few fights, a few cats had to get down, to stand their ground and show that this what it is. But other than that, the Lot Boys was birthed, and then the rest is history. So in our projects, it's bounty hunters and Lot Boys. That's all. So that's what it was. So even though certain homies claim Lot Boy, but when you went to jail, it's still Lot Boy bounty hunters.
Now, what role did Renee McDonald play in the Lot Boys? I always thought he was like